Hello once again, it's Mr. Pete, your YouTube shop teacher, and this is short subject number 27 entitled ALORIS Quick Change Tooling Size A, and there will be a follow-up video number 28, and I will talk about size B tool holders, quick change tool holders, ALORIS, DORIAN, sharpe, and other brands. So this will be a long video. And you really need to watch short subject number 26, which was the first part, and I talked about the differences between the A, B, and C, and so on, concerning the sizes. But today we are concerned most with the size A for the small tool post that fits on South Bends, Logans, Atlases, and so on. Now I realize that most of you will not have a large number. There's about 24 of them here. You don't need that many. This is thousands of dollars worth if you bought them in the ALORIS and the DORIAN brand, but you do not need the ALORIS. The off-brands are just as good. However, the Chinese-made ones do not have a wide variety. There's only 5 or 6 or 8 different varieties. There's many more varieties in the ALORIS, and at the end of this video I'm going to go through and show you some of the more obscure ones that I do not own but are in the catalog. So stay tuned for that if you can take it. First, let me say that you can see there is quite a difference here between the A size, and that's a DORIAN, and the B size, which is a sharpe, although the size seems to be pretty well standardized, and you can exchange these, whether these go on an import tool post or a sharpe or whatever. They are interchangeable. The size seems to be pretty well standardized of the dovetail here, so don't worry about what brand you have. And again, the off-brand Chinese ones, other than maybe a poorer grade of steel, I don't even know that, will get the job done for you. So let's start describing some of these. I never noticed this until just now. Remember, I learn more by making videos than what you do by watching them. But when you look here at the DORIAN in the AXA size, and the genuine ALORIS, which I have right here, even though they are both pretty much the same tool holder, they do vary in size as far as the length. The height seems to be the same, and the groove or the slot is the same, but this one is a little bit bigger. This type of tool holder is called a turning and facing holder. Notice that there is no V-groove here. So you can hold your high-speed tools in there, or just about anything that will fit. It really doesn't matter at all. But if you buy this type that is called the boring, turning, and facing holder, it has a little V-groove in here which holds the boring bar. So these are mighty handy for that, but sometimes that little V-groove is in the way or annoying if you're simply putting a small tool bit in like this. But possibly just, you don't really need both of these. It doesn't matter, whatever your preference is. You know, some of these I don't use very often. I didn't even realize I had this many, but here's a phase 2 or phase 3. That's an import too. And it's just a regular one for holding the turning bits and so on. But you can see that I made this indicator holder years ago, and that has kind of become a dedicated holder for this little indicator. But essentially it's the same as one of these that I just showed you. Next, I think I'll show you the ones that hold a boring bar here. And again, these are kind of dedicated. I leave the boring bars in here, but again, this is a phase 2, and it does have the little V-groove in there, not a very deep one, and there's a boring bar in there now, and the boring bar can be put in either way, from one end or from the other end. Notice that this boring bar about fills up that slot. It will not hold real large boring bars. Here's another one, and that simply says China on it. I believe the 250 means pretty much the same as the A or the AXA. And there is a V-groove in this, but it isn't being really used for a larger boring bar like this. My brother introduced me to this long nose type because it allows your boring bars to extend a little bit. Notice that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set screws here as compared to, let's say, this one that I have already shown you. Now, I don't believe you'll find these in the imports. This is a DTM. I think my brother gave this to me. I'm not really familiar with that company, but I know that ALORIS makes these as well, and I have a bunch of them in the B size, which I'll show you in the follow-up video. Now, these two you just saw in the last frame, but this particular one is a genuine ALORIS, and again, you can put your tool in from either end. And right now I have negated the use of the extended nose on this by using the other end. But no problem, because I have at least one more of them as well, and that's also an ALORIS, and notice the number on there if that interests you. But I suppose this is probably over $100 just for this holder. I'm not really sure on that. Look it up. Here's another one that I haven't used in quite a while. I forgot what the XL stands for. Maybe that means it's just a little bit larger than the other ones, but in here I have dedicated this to the Sharpe's groove tool, which I have not used in a long time, but that's perfect for making snap rings. I'm not really wanting to talk about the tools, but the tool holders in this video, but I was talking about boring bars a few moments ago, and really for your large boring bars you want to use this type of holder, and they make them in different hole sizes. They're more massive, they hold the boring bar more firmly, and it helps eliminate vibration and chatter. And here's one also, I guess that's the same size as well. It is, yeah. They're rather heavy in weight. Nicely made. Now you might be wondering what this M is on several of these. I did that a long time ago, just when I didn't own many of these yet, and I was very much annoyed because these are metric cap screws, and you know, I have fumbled around with the wrong ones until I realized they're metric. So at that time I got mad and painted them yellow, but now I got so many imports here, I need to have metric and standard Allen wrenches at hand when I change my tools. No telling what size cap screws they are, or set screws. I showed this recently in one of my knurling videos. I don't like these at all, with a bump type knurler. Again, this is a import phase 2, and they use the back side here for regular tools, or you can. I don't think I ever have. Matter of fact, I never use this. I don't like it. I should sell it. A bunch of these I should sell. I got duplicates that I don't even know. Didn't even realize I had them. But everybody makes one of these. Don't bother to buy one. Here's another regular tool holder I forgot to show you, and it's an import as well. I have 4 different holders here for cutoff or parting tools, but let's start with this one because this is really just a standard holder, as you can see, but I have dedicated to this ISCAR. For that cutoff tool, which I haven't had a whole lot of luck with these. I think they're really delicate. This side is broken, this end is broken. But these are made to hold cutoff tools. So there's a phase 2 or 3, what, I can't read that. And it holds the cutter at an angle, as opposed to this one, also an import, where that domestically made Armstrong, I love that logo, is just straight. It's not at an angle, 10 degrees or whatever that is. Just gives you more end clearance. And here's another one. This is a, let me see if I can see the brand here. That's a DORIAN, and it is straight. I do like the way this holds the cutting tool with this wedge-shaped piece coming in at an angle and really forcing it in. And I think that they're the slot at the bottom, I can't tell. I was going to say I thought that was at an angle, but I guess it is not. So I like to have a lot of these so that I always have them in different widths or different thicknesses right here, and can change them real quickly, because it is a pain in the neck to change the blade with 4 of these screws. You know, you're going to waste 6 minutes out of your life doing that. Okay, here I have 4 ALORIS holders. Well, they're not all ALORIS. These are. And these have a nose on them that is just dedicated to that type of cutter, or that type of carbide insert. And this is an AXA 12, and that is positive. This AXA 12N is a negative. And you might be able to see the change in the angle when you look at them right here. Notice how this insert is sloped down. And here's another one. I don't know what brand this is. I guess it's pretty much the same. I don't use these very often at all. Matter of fact, I can say I don't really like these. I do like this very much. This is a Char's, and I have these in the B size as well. Double ender, so you can do your turning, and then you can flip it around and do facing. So they're handier than heck, except I am out of inserts. I hope that Richard up at Char's would send me some new inserts, but I can't seem to find those in the catalog. I don't know what the number is on them. But to me, this is just one of the handiest ones around. And to me, it's so handy because you can do your turning, then loosen it up, and reposition it like this, and do your facing, or whatever your other operation is. So that's handier than sliced bread. You can make your own holders as well. However, these are made of tool steel and they are hardened, and they're only 20 bucks, and the off-brand 50 bucks if it's a DORIAN or an ALORIS. But anyway, you can make your own, but where you're going to get a block of steel thick enough, and maybe the block of steel is going to cost you 20 bucks, so just buy an import. But I have made a bunch of these over the years out of aluminum. Now, aluminum is not suitable to hold tools, cutting tools. However, I've made these for indicators, and there are videos on that nobody ever did watch, but that was the purpose of this. And then later I made some on the 3D printer, and they don't need to be heavy at all. They can just be as cheap. Or you can make them out of wood, make them out of maple. It wouldn't matter. But it's quite a job to cut the dovetail, so you might as well use metal. But you can see that did turn out quite nice. And I used Randy Richards' dovetail cutters to cut those dovetails. And again, there's videos on that. And I made this one as well. I think there's a video on it. It's a double ender. So again, you could use this in this, I'll call it the turning position, or flip it around and check it in your chuck like you would a facing tool to see if the work is in there flat or a little bit crooked. So this was a pretty good idea of mine, I'll have to admit. I don't know if I invented it or not. I don't think anybody else ever made these, but I could be wrong. But look what else I got in the box here. The Starrett box, no less. I was experimenting with all different sizes and different recesses here for various indicators that I had. So there's all kinds of these. And this is so long ago, I don't even remember why I did some of this stuff. And there's another one made out of aluminum that turned out pretty nice. And, well, you can see what else I got here. Maybe you're not interested, because I've lost interest myself, so I don't blame you. Here are two that I just dug out. I almost forgot about them. It was not shown in the big picture here with all the other ones, but you can see how often I use this one. It's all dusty. I got to get on my wife about dusting things down here. But this is a genuine ALORIS AXA 50, and it holds 5C collets. And the purpose of this is to hold just about any boring bar, or for that matter anything that will fit in a 5C collet in the way of tooling that you would want to use. And how often have I used it? I'm not sure I ever used it. And it came with a nice bar to tighten that. I don't know what happened to that. And here's the other one, and you know what, don't even think about buying these new. You can't afford it. If you got to ask how much these are, you can't afford them. Here's an AXA 35, and it uses a 1/2-inch Jacobs chuck, so you could do drilling with power drilling. I think I'll make a video of that. And just about anything else you could think of holding in there. However, you got to get this centered height-wise and in and out-wise in order to use it, so the setup time is considerable. Not sure I used it a whole lot, but it is a standard chuck, and that is how it's held on there. Maybe it's not standard. I'm sure that there must be holes drilled and tapped in here, so it's a modified chuck, maybe by Jacobs, maybe by ALORIS. So do you find those two kind of interesting and different? And be sure and watch the follow-up video, which will be video short subject number 28, where I talk about the B size of tool holders. Old Frank Cirola must have been a genius when he developed this system back in the 60s or the 50s. Now there are many, many more specialized holders than what I have here. So I'm going to go through this as extra credit now. This is a 30-year-old catalog. I don't have the new one. But there are a lot of specialty holders in here that I do not own, as well as some here that I do own. Okay, this is the extra credit portion of the video. Now, I'm not going to read through all of this and try to describe all of these tool holders. I'm simply going to give you still pictures, and if you're interested, you can read the description and record the number. Remember, these are 30-year-old pictures. Some of these may be obsolete, and by the same token, they may have introduced many other tools in the last 30 years. I just haven't kept up with it. You can go to their website if you are interested. Here is the patent drawing from 1970 by Frank Sorolla. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked the video, and I'll see you next time.